Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. My name is PJ and today I'll be guiding you around the Yas Marina Circuit in your favourite F1 game. We'll be looking at every corner in detail so that you have some tips ahead of your next race, and we're already beginning right here on the approach to turn 1. So, my braking point for this is the 100 meter board, which you see just here on the right hand side. And if that's for some reason gets knocked down during the race, there's a handy post that's just right behind it as well. You can see the mini scaffolding rig there that can also is positioned conveniently at the 100 meter point, so you can brake there. But you're braking from 8th gear, brake in a straight line, shift it down to 4th, I believe, potentially 3rd. You turn in at 50, and you can use this curb. You can cut this curb, and I would recommend it because it lets you carry the most speed through the corner. So you cut this curb, you keep one wheel on the white on the inside, and then you get back on the outside, and then you short shift it up a gear so that you can put the power down. And again, you're just riding the curb on the outside now as you put the power down. Use the AstroTurf to your advantage. Make sure you keep one wheel within the white lines, otherwise you'll get a penalty. So you go flat out then through this left-hander and again through the right-hander up here. Now, one thing I would recommend for this is, depending on how your car is set up, you might not be able to take this flat out while going on the curb, because the curb ever so slightly lifts the car at the point that you're switching direction, and that can be a challenge sometimes. Sometimes you'll find that the wheel goes a little bit loose, and on a pad it should be no problem, just take it easy flat. But you're going to be 7th gear through here, and then as you exit you shift up to 8th, you bring it down and you just skim the curb here and then bring it down hill towards the chicane. So you're braking here just after the 100 meter board, so you're braking just when the rumble strips begin to turn red and white. You do that right there, you bring it down to 3rd gear, and here you want to cut in as much as you can. Just throw the car into the corner, carry as much speed as possible, go straight over this orange curb. Make sure you don't do that while you're on full throttle. You can do it on half throttle, you can get over it. Unfortunately, the curbs here are not as big as the ones in the rallycross layout, because if you've played Dirt Rally 2.0 and you've done the rally course circuit here at Yas Marina, those curbs are as high as that bollard and they can actually roll a car. But in F1, you don't need to worry about that, they're fairly flat. So, 3rd gear, roll on through here. I would potentially put it around here, so maybe avoid the curb on the inside, the orange one, for this turn. You're in 3rd gear, potentially short shifted up to 4th here, but your main objective isn't necessarily to get the power down, it's to get over to the right hand side for the hairpin, because you've got a very long straight coming up. So my turn-in point for this tends to be here where the road splits in two. That's my initial turn-in point, and I would bring it down to 2nd gear, and you just need to be fairly consistent with the steering, get as close to the apex as you can, and then as soon as you pass it, shift up to 3rd gear, put some power down, shift up to 4th. If you absolutely can't get it flat out, you should be flat out by now, hit the DRS, open that up. Now, I'm not all the way over to the right hand side here, and you'll see why for a good reason, and that is because the road itself actually comes in on itself towards the braking zone. So if you stay a little bit to the left of the edge on the exit of the hairpin, then you do not need to worry about it, because the road will come to meet you by the time you reach the braking zone here, which is at 100 meters. So you're looking for that Pirelli, for that little Pirelli sign. If that's been knocked out, it's going to be a bit trickier, but you could potentially see where the texture changes here on the road surface. But you brake straight, you brake at 100, you bring it down to 2nd gear, so brake well past the 50, then release the brakes, turn in, and your focus here is not necessarily to get on the power, just get a good line, cut through that, and get it over as far left as you can, and then turn it to the right. And as you turn right, shift it up to 3rd gear, so that you're already starting to put some power down as you get through here. Now, this is sort of off camber and uphill, so it's a very wonky corner to to get through, especially avoid that big orange curb there, because this time you do actually need to get the power down on the exit. So you put it down in third, maybe upshift to fourth if you need to. Use this curb on the left hand side. Open DRS again for the second time. Then you bring it down. Fairly simple straight, but make sure you get over to the right hand side as close as you can for the next braking zone, which is again going to be the 100-meter board, and you can gain a ton of time through this sequence if you're aggressive with your curb usage and you essentially just throw the car into some of these corners. So you brake at 100 from 8th gear, you bring it down to 3rd, brake in a straight line until you're past the red rumble strips, and then turn in. And your turn-in point for this, you're going to cut in deep. You're going to cut in super deep because you're not going to be full throttle on the exit. So what you're looking for here is to run it straight over the curb. Straight over the curb. You probably won't get a penalty for this because technically the rear right tire is still on the road, and by the time that it goes off the road, the front right tire should be back on. So you just go straight over in 3rd gear, and you're on like half throttle for the next 2 or 3 turns. So you hold it in half throttle and you bring it through, and then you do the exact same thing here. You skim over, you whack that orange curb on the inside, and again once more you shift it up to 4th and you do the same thing here. Make sure you skim all those apexes because that straightens up the chicane as much as possible and stops you from slowing down. You get up here to 4th gear, slight tap the brakes, and then turn it in, and be careful of the big curb on the exit of this one. You can go over it, it's a little bit risky. You might want to play it safe and veer out this side instead. But either way, you need to make sure that you get a clean exit. So get out of here in 4th gear, shift it up to 5th. And now you don't want to go too far to the right because it is possible there's a bump in the curb there that can throw the car off course if you've not lined it up properly. But also if you go too far, you will just get a penalty because this is a section that likes to give you a lot of penalties for the runoff areas. So you're now flat out through here and here, flat out through here, 6th gear, 7th gear. You don't necessarily have to come all the way over to the left, you just need to maintain a consistent steering throughout all of this. And how late you brake for the next corner after this depends on your setup and how brave you are. And also, if you're following another car here, you probably have to brake earlier because their dirty air should be influencing your downforce and causing you to lose front downforce, and you need all the front downforce you can get around here. So if you're chasing another car and you're right behind them through this section, you should probably back off a little bit so that you can actually carry this with more speed. But you get through here flat out, and now you start gradually braking, just very, very light initially. You could probably take that whole thing flat out there, and then you brake here once you've straightened up. But you're not going to be straight for long, you're going to be turning it ever so slightly, bringing it down to 3rd gear as you go through, and clip this curb as much as possible, put the whole car over it. You should be okay penalty wise because as you can see, as soon as I get my front tire back on the road, I'm all good and the rear tires come off. So the corner is so sharp that if you take it at the right angle, you won't get a cut penalty. So you're in 3rd gear now, shift it up to 4th, and you're not necessarily full throttle through this, you're just kind of rolling it through. You're probably about 50-75% throttle through here. And you do the exact same thing here, and then you can skim that curb on the inside. You're in 4th gear, holding it in 4th, bring it out to the curb on the outside, maintain a consistent steering through the previous turn, then shift it up to 5th. If you don't shift it up before the turn, shift it up after you pass this bollard and the orange curb. You shift it up to 5th, track the car out to the exit, and now you're full throttle again. You go up to 6th, up potentially up to 7th gear, then you bring it down again to 5th gear, just very, very light to moderate braking. You're not braking too hard for this, you're just braking enough to slow the car down for the turn. And then you bring it through. Let's say 5th gear, you bring it through and you use the curb on the exit, but again, don't go too far over because you can unsettle the car, and if you go all the way over, you're going to get a penalty for track limits. Pit lane entries on your right hand side, but don't worry about that for now. We're going straight, and you're braking pretty much as soon as you cross this pit entry line here. So that is your reference point for that. So as soon as you hit that, brake there. If you're feeling brave, you can brake here where you start on the curb, but you're bringing it from 6th gear down to 3rd or 4th, probably 4th. You bring it through, roll it through, just use the first part of the curb there, and then be steady on the throttle, short shifted on the exit, use the curb, and get over to the right hand side to complete the lap. But if you're doing a qualifying run here, don't bother turning to the right, just keep it straight. Just keep it absolutely straight, get to the finish line, and complete a lap of the Yas Marina Circuit. So, let's go for the hot lap. Here we go then for a flying lap of Yas Marina Circuit. You need to get over to the right hand side for turn 1, which you'll be taking in 4th gear, brake at 100. Put the power down on the exit, get up to 5th gear, 6th. Now you're totally flat. Flat all the way up the hill, flat all the way back down, get over to the right hand side. Down to 3rd gear, monster the curbs as much as you can. Manage the wheel spin on the exit. Put the power down. Open the DRS, down the main straight. Stay over here because the road is about to narrow as you get towards the braking zone. You're going to be braking at 100 meters, down to 2nd gear. Turn in early. Short shift to 3rd on the exit. Put the power down now. Get under the bridge. DRS is wide open. As you get down here, brake at 100, 3rd gear. Cut in like so. You're not full throttle yet, not yet, not yet, now. Then slight braking. Short shift on the exit. Now floor through this apex and this one, and then brake. Now you're in 4th gear, roll it through, stay in 4th. Now shift to 5th and put more power down. Trust in the downforce of the car, bring it down to 5th again. And then brake for the final turn of the Yas Marina Circuit. Now that you know your way around the Yas Marina Circuit, why not try out some other videos on my channel? You can find 2 on screen now. In the meantime, thanks for watching and for liking the video, and I wish you the best of luck in your next race.